All right, so we are recording. Welcome to Synthetic versus Down, you guys. I'm glad y'all were able to join us today. And I am Shannon. Like I said, I'm a social media coordinator. Before I started in the office, I was a clothing lead in our Austin stores for a long time. From about 2009 to, I started in 2006 until about 2013. And so I have a ton of experience with outerwear and with apparel and with technical fabrics. And, we're just going to kind of go over the basics because we only have 20 minutes today. And so we're here for synthetic versus down, what might work best for you, and just kind of talk about the properties of each and why they might be beneficial for whatever you specifically need. So to start off today, and I have, like I said, some examples I'll kind of show you as we go. I want to talk about the fact that this could really be applied to jackets or sleeping bags, but today we're going to focus on jackets. Sleeping bags are another realm, but essentially this information is going to be the same kind of information you'll find just about anywhere, and you can just really go down rabbit holes whatever you're specifically looking for, so just a heads up. But we're going to focus on jackets today because it's that time of year. So down. What is down? Natural down. So down, if you guys have ever seen different types of feathers from birds, it is a type of feather that comes from a bird, and it's the part that is closest to a bird's body that's really, really fluffy. That's the kind of stuff that you see floating. It kind of looks like a feather, but kind of not. But it's the insulating layer of a bird's coat that's closest to their body, and it is full of thousands of tiny air pockets between all the little fibers and filaments. And all of that air creates warmth retention. So that down is used to stuff jackets to keep you super, super warm. There's goose down, there is duck down. Typically goose down has more fluff or air pockets, I'm just going to call it fluff for the sake of our conversation, than duck, but not all goose and duck are created equal. There are different types. So, it really just depends on the jacket and depends on what you're looking for, but that will be noted on whatever kind of item you get. But it really comes down to, when you're talking about the warmth, it really comes down to the fill power of the jacket. And I'm going to kind of skip ahead and just talk about what fill power is really quick, just so you guys have an idea of what I'm talking about. But fill power is the measurement of the amount of space 1 ounce of down will occupy in cubic inches when it is allowed to reach its maximum loft. So essentially, the higher the fill power, the warmer the jacket. So the loftier it is, the more air it traps, the warmer your jacket is going to be. Some benefits to natural down. Obviously, it's going to have better insulation per ounce. So it's going to weigh virtually nothing, but all of those tiny little fluffs and fibers and air in between and all the feathers, the fibers, is going to trap lots and lots of heat. So virtually weightless with tons of heat. It's really best in dry conditions, and that's because when it does get wet, the feathers tend to clump together. Obviously, water occupies where that air once was, and so it starts to clump together, and it doesn't retain its heat properties as well. However, down does have a longer lifespan than synthetic when you care for it properly, which we'll get into a little bit later as well. And it also has better compression. So you can pack it, it compresses a little bit better. So those are all kind of benefits in talking about, and I guess one drawback, when you're talking about down. Obviously, when we're talking about, and we'll kind of get it to the end, but when you're asking yourself what kind of jacket you need specifically for your climate or whatever you're going to be doing, moisture is going to have a lot to do with that, and of course the actual temperature that you're going to be in. So down comes in different fill powers. 800 kind of being sort of the highest that we carry. There's going to be really nice, really expensive $1,000 down jackets out there for the people that live in really Arctic areas, but we are in Texas, so we put a cap on things. But it is going to be an investment piece for sure, and it's going to be a nice warm option. Some classic pieces that we have that are going to be actual down. We have carried the Patagonia down sweater for many, many years. Heather, if you wouldn't mind linking that. I didn't grab one from the store, but I did grab a Patagonia silent down piece. This is a men's option that we carry right now. This is going to be about the same warmth. I'm just going to kind of compress it so you guys can kind of see how the air just goes right out of it when you compress it, and then you let it go a little bit and it comes right back. So that's kind of an example of all of those little air pockets being compressed and then and going right back to shape. But the silent down is really cool, and let's see, did I put some stats on here? So silent down, the shell of the silent down, if y'all haven't felt, most Patagonia down jackets have that kind of nylon exterior that you know and you're used to, but the silent down is kind of awesome because it has a little bit of stretch to it. It's also not as noisy. I know that that's something that people have talked about in the past with nylon jackets and them rubbing and being kind of noisy. This down is not as noisy because of the stretch, but also Patagonia uses recycled down in this jacket, and I want to say that 100% of the down that's in this jacket was sourced from other down products that already existed in the world. So Patagonia is really good with reclaiming down and reclaiming even the polyester that goes into the shell of this. The 70% of the shell of this is recycled as well. So something else to consider when you're buying down pieces. Not all down is created equal. Some people don't separate all of the feathers from the actual down. So you want to kind of look at the down contents. If there's, 90% down to 10% feathers, there are different grades essentially. And there's also different ways that people cultivate down. So that's also something that I won't get into today, but it's something to consider. But Patagonia is really good about traceable down. Their goose down is certified by NSF International to help ensure that birds that supply the down are not force-fed or live plucked. So just FYI, Patagonia is very aware of that. So again, that's the men's silent down. That's one of them. This one has a hood as well. The down sweater we talked about comes in a couple different colors for men's and women's. We do have men's and women's for the silent down. And then I think that's all I grabbed for real down pieces. Except for, I did grab this North Face too that I wanted to show you guys for ladies, this Gotham North Face jacket, also a removable hood. This guy, I want to say is a 550 fill. Oh, the down sweater for Patagonia is an 800 fill, so that's going to be one of the bulkiest actual down pieces that we have, and y'all can check that out online. This Gotham jacket for ladies is going to be a 550 fill goose down throughout the body of it, and then this one actually also has a little bit of synthetic mixed in. I know we haven't talked about synthetic yet, but we'll talk about that in a second. But it has 150 gram heat seeker, which is a proprietary type of synthetic fill in the sides of the jacket to kind of slim it out a little bit, because we all know that sometimes down jackets can look kind of bulky. So you can kind of see that, the baffling on the back is nice and fluffy, and then you get to the side and it's a little bit more tailored in. But it's still going to have excellent heat retention. It has that mix and that blend. So 550, it's not as bulky as the 800 fill Patagonia down sweater. But this one is going to be, and it also says that if you're jacket shopping and you see these numbers on the sleeves, that's what that means, is the fill power. But this is going to be a great option from North Face that has that DWR coating. It's going to be, maybe all you need in Texas. But will travel really well too. So I wanted to show you guys another actual down option. So then I'm gonna come back over to synthetic. Okay, so we talked about down, we talked about the properties, the benefits, we talked about some classic pieces that we have in our store. So synthetic, what is synthetic down? Essentially synthetic down is any man-made material used in place of natural down. Typically, it's going to be different types of plastics, honestly, is the best way to describe it. Companies usually have some proprietary type of insulation that they use for their jackets. So example, Patagonia and North Face use a ton of Primaloft. Primaloft is a brand of synthetic fill, and they of course have all different types. There's different grades. So they usually rate, well, PrimaLoft, I can't speak for all of the different synthetic options out there. We just talked about Heat Seeker is one that North Face uses. But North Face also uses PrimaLoft. But PrimaLoft will grade their microfibers, their poly microfibers. So there's going to be gold rating, silver rating, black rating. I'm not going to go too far into those, but you can read a little bit more about them. But essentially, it's very much like down, fill power, but they rate it differently because you really can't compare a synthetic insulation to actual down. It's just not the same. It's not apples to apples. So synthetic is rated slightly differently, but there are different grades, just like down. So, like I was saying, PrimaLoft is 100% polyester microfibers. And they come in different weights. The commonality with PrimaLoft and most synthetics is that they are all very, very lightweight, and they're all going to be water resistant. So one of the biggest things that we talk about a lot when we are helping people in the store with any kind of insulated outerwear is the waterproof ability and the water resistance between synthetic versus real down. So when we were talking about in the down section, that once it gets wet, it starts to lose those thermal properties. Synthetic down, you do not have to worry about. Since it's a polyester microfiber, if it gets wet, it's still going to keep you warm. And not only that, but it's going to dry quickly. So depending on where you are, depending on what you're using it for, if you're getting a piece that you want to go hiking in, that you want to be your rough and tumble, summiting jacket, something that you can take, on the trail, we're probably going to recommend something that has a synthetic fill to it. Most of these jackets, even the down jackets, have a DWR coating, which is a durable water repellency coating to the exterior, to the shell. But you're really going to want the loftiness of it to have that water resistance as well. And so synthetics are going to have that. And so they are such a clutch option if you are in climates like the Pacific Northwest, for instance. And it is, I think, raining all week this week, I saw in Portland. So if you're somewhere like that and you just are going to be in moisture a lot, synthetic is going to be a great option. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything in my notes. So the goal, though, obviously with synthetic jackets, very much like real down jackets, is to have that warmth to weight ratio. So, we were talking about fill power. That's what warmth to weight ratio really is. You want to have the lightest weight option and the most warmth to get the most bang for your buck. Like I said, no synthetic can really recreate the insulation to weight ratio of goose or duck down, but it comes close. It comes really close. And, you can always talk and refer back to a layering system as well. If you're really concerned with warmth, but you're wanting something that has that water resistance, a next to skin layer is going to be a great option. We talked about in hiking, the hiking clinic for hiking clothing, we talked about next to skin options that are merino wool. There's a lot of great options that you can put next to your skin that's going to retain that warmth, and then having something that is going to prevent the water from coming in and drying quickly on the outside is going to be, your best case. And then, of course, if you want to go even warmer than that, you can get a down jacket and throw a waterproof jacket over it. But again, so synthetic, we're talking about properties and benefits. It works in wet conditions. It's water resistant. It's a great performance piece. I do a lot of distance hiking with my husband and my dog, and I always wear a Patagonia nano jacket with a hood, but I grabbed one that doesn't have a hood to show you guys today. And this guy is an example of a Patagonia synthetic. So this is going to be a nice lighter weight option that they make for both men and women. It's warm, windproof, water resistant. It uses incredibly lightweight and highly compressible 60-gram PrimaLoft gold. And 100% of the polyester is 100% polyester. Oh, I'm sorry, the 55% of the polyester on this jacket is recycled. So if that matters to you guys, it's a pretty cool thing that Patagonia does, is using recycled post-consumer materials to make these jackets. But go back up here. Okay, so we talked about water resistant, great performance pieces. This is a ladies jacket. I think I might have said that, but we do have men's options in a couple different colors. Another something that you don't really have to worry about with synthetic, and I didn't really talk about with down, is allergies. If that's a factor in your life, is synthetic, you don't have to worry about any kind of allergic reaction to the feathers. And we'll also talk about it kind of towards the end here, but washability. Synthetic are a little bit easier to work with in that way. But again, the lifespan of synthetic versus down, you're going to have a little bit longer lifespan with the down piece if you take care of it. But again, we also kind of talked about that synthetic pieces do dry very quickly as well. So if you do get caught in a rainstorm, you know, this does have water resistance to it, but if you get caught in a rainstorm and it's kind of chilly out, it's still going to keep you warm while you're out there, and it's going to dry super fast. I also grabbed to show you guys another great synthetic piece. So, you know, most of the down jackets we're used to seeing have this kind of baffling where it's stitched, it looks like little pockets of warmth. That's called baffling. But not all down jackets have that, if that's not a look you're going for, but, you know, this kind of reads warmth. You know, something that a lot of people associate with warmth. But there are jackets that do have insulation, synthetic insulation, that don't have that at all. So I grabbed this Arc'teryx Atom jacket, which is my husband's absolute favorite jacket. I know a lot of people really love this jacket that work for Whole Earth. But this is a really awesome high performance piece. They use Core-Loft compact insulation, and this is a 60-gram piece, so it's lightweight. Great for Texas. It's breathable, thermally efficient. It's 100% polyester fiber fill, and then it has a shell. I won't get into denier, but the shell of this is a nice kind of stretchy, supple, soft fabric that, again is a little bit more quiet than a typical nylon jacket, but it just feels really good to the touch. But it also, of course, has a DWR coating, a durable water repellent coating treatment to it, and it is nylon, so it has that rip resistance as well. But I just wanted to show you guys an example of a jacket that doesn't necessarily have baffling, but it still has that insulation. This is a great piece, again, when we're talking about hiking. I'll just show you guys too that not the whole jacket doesn't have fill throughout. The side panels and up to the armpit essentially is this sort of like power stretch that has a fleece backing to it. So again, it's really great for if you need, you know, a little bit more range of motion. So if you're hiking, if you're climbing, if you're doing anything where you need to, you know, be able to really move in your jacket, but you need that little bit of extra warmth around your core, this is a really great piece. And Heather can link this Atom jacket in the chat so you guys can see a little bit more. I'm actually getting this. My husband doesn't log on to these, but I'm getting him a new one because he's pretty much worn his down over the last, I don't know, I think he's had one for 6 years, but I'm going to give him a new one for Christmas. With a hood, I think. So, okay, so we talked about some benefits for synthetic. We talked about classic pieces for synthetic, that Nano Puff. We do have the Patagonia Nano Puff in a vest, a jacket. I don't know if we have a hooded one. I'd have to double check on that. But we also have another Patagonia synthetic for ladies that's really beautiful called the Radley. And that comes in a couple colors. I was just over at the store and I saw a really pretty tan one on the wall too. It seems to be the color this fall. But and then of course there's going to be, you know, there's other brands that we have as well too that you can check out. North Face is a great option. But yeah, check out our website, guys, and go to the clothing and outerwear section and you can kind of peruse. And now that you know a little bit more about down versus synthetic and fill powers, you can kind of make the best decision for you. You know, questions to ask yourself, like how cold is it going to be where you are? How much fill do you actually need? Are you going to be active in it? Are you going to be moving a lot? You're not going to need as much down if you're going to be moving a lot because you're going to be creating your own warmth and it's going to be getting trapped in there and keeping you warm. You know, the moisture is a huge part of it. We can't stress enough that down in wet places is not the best option unless you are going to for sure have a shell over it, which is also, a totally acceptable thing, but how much layering do you want to do? And that also, the shell also traps warmth too, so that's something to consider. And then, price is always a consideration for people. Down is just more expensive. And so synthetic is a great entry-level piece, especially if you're wanting to gift something for holiday. It varies. So, but typically with synthetic, you can get that lower gram fill, that lesser warmth to weight ratio that is a little bit more accessible. And, again, if you're in the South, if you're in Texas, where we are, that's typically what you want to go with. But yeah, so questions to ask yourself. There's lots of options out there. I didn't go too far into proprietary synthetics. There are a lot of them. So it just depends. Usually the hang tags on the jackets will have information about that. So you can read more about it if there's a particular style that you're interested in. And then really quickly, where am I on time? Okay, I'll hustle through this. Really quickly on care, I know that that's a big question for a lot of people. If you have a down jacket, I'm just really going to talk about care for down because that is a little bit more, it takes a little bit more care than a synthetic jacket would. But always check the care label for instructions, synthetic or down, first thing to do. But if you have an actual down jacket and you wear it regularly, maybe not every day, washing it 1 to 2 times a season or a year is probably going to be best case scenario. You don't want to wash it a lot. If you wear it every day, you might want to wash it a couple more times than that, but you don't need to wash it a lot. You don't want to wash away any of the natural oils or anything like that. Front load washers are best if you can make that happen. Agitators tend to displace down and can kind of clump it up and maybe damage the jacket slightly. And you don't want to overfill the washer too with too many pieces. Like 1 to 2 jackets is usually best practice. Warm water, gentle cycle. Again, read the care label. These are just general tips when you're washing. And then you for sure want to use a dedicated down detergent. We carry one from Nick Wax that Heather can also link for me, but it's a down specific wash. Typically regular detergents can be really abrasive and harsh on those kind of pieces. So if you are going to invest in a piece of down, invest in that down specific wash. It's just going to keep your jacket better for longer. And then that bottle of down wash, you're only going to use it for down, so it'll last for a long time. And then also if you have a sleeping bag, that's an option too. Dryer, yes, for sure. Low heat and then clean tennis balls in there are going to help get that down kind of fluffed up and redistributed. And then it's always a really good idea midway through the dry cycle to pull it out, fluff it, redistribute the feathers midway through the cycle, and then put it back in there. So that kind of took me through my spiel, and I'm already still at 27 minutes. I can't believe it. So I want to kind of open it up to the floor. Before I do that, I am going to ask Heather to hit end on the recording so that if you guys want to turn on your mics and ask questions. So that was the end of the presentation portion. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we're going to stop the recording so y'all can ask questions.